All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about one of the biggest and honestly most underreported tech revolutions happening on the planet right now. And no, it's not some flashy new app or a cool gadget. This is way bigger. It's a complete reimagining of how a country's digital backbone is built, and it's all coming out of India.
This right here is the single most important idea you need to get your head around. We're not talking about a bunch of separate tech products. This whole system is what's called a digital public infrastructure, or DPI. Seriously, just think of it like public utilities, the roads, the power grids, but for our digital world. And it's allowed India to basically leapfrog decades of development.
And you know, this is not just an India story anymore, not by a long shot. More than 20 countries, we're talking places from Sierra Leone to Armenia, are now actively studying or even starting to adopt this exact framework. It's a blueprint that is officially going global, so it's really important we understand what it is and, how it actually works.
So what is this thing, really? Well, at its core, it's something called the indiastack, and it is built on a philosophy that is completely different from what most of us in the tech world are used to.
This really lays out the contrast, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the walled gardens of big tech. You know them, closed, proprietary systems, all designed to maximize profit. But on the other side, you have the indiastack, which is designed from the ground up as a public utility. It uses open APIs, which is just a fancy way of saying anyone can build on top of it. It's designed to spark innovation, not control it.
So let's pop the hood and see how this thing is actually built. The whole system stands on 3 distinct but totally interoperable layers that all work together perfectly.
And the scale here is just mind-blowing. First, you have the identity layer, called Aadhaar. This gives a unique digital ID to pretty much every citizen. We're talking a staggering 1.42 billion people enrolled. Then comes the payments layer, UPI. Get this, it processes over 640 million transactions every single day. And finally, the data exchange layer. Now, this is a secure framework that lets you control your own data. Think bank statements or tax records, and share it to get things like loans super easily. It's helped push formal credit access to 92% of the eligible population. Incredible.
But look, this isn't just about cool tech. It has a massive, real-world economic impact. We're literally talking about a direct line from lines of code to a country's economic growth and its people's well-being.
Just look at this number for a second. The UPI payment system, by itself, is estimated to contribute an amount equal to 3.4% of India's entire annual GDP. So how does it do that? Well, by crushing transaction costs and bringing millions of people into the formal economy for the very first time. That's not just a convenience. It's a full-blown macroeconomic game changer.
Of course, the real test for any system this big is a crisis, right? And during the COVID-19 pandemic, this digital infrastructure was stress-tested in a way nobody could have possibly imagined.
And the result? The system managed the delivery of 2.2 billion vaccine doses, with every last one tracked digitally. I mean, think about that. That's a logistical nightmare that was made possible only because this public infrastructure was already in place. And it gets even crazier. The government was able to send direct financial aid to 800 million citizens with zero leakage. What does that mean? It means the money went straight from the government's wallet into people's bank accounts, completely bypassing the layers of bureaucracy and corruption that usually siphon off money in programs this huge.
Okay, so what's next? Well, the system keeps evolving. The next huge piece of the puzzle takes that same philosophy of openness and applies it to a completely new world. E-commerce.
It's called ONDC, the Open Network for Digital Commerce. And the core idea is simple, but it is absolutely revolutionary to prevent the kind of winner-take-all monopolies that dominate online shopping in so many other parts of the world.
You can really see the difference here. In the old model, one giant company controls the buyer, the seller, the delivery, everything. But with ONDC, the whole system is unbundled. A buyer on one app can find a seller on a totally different app, and then use a delivery service from a third app. It creates a truly level playing field, where the smallest neighborhood shop can actually compete with the global giants.
Now, let's be real. You don't build something this massive for billion-plus people without hitting some major roadblocks. It comes with huge responsibilities and some really tough challenges.
3 big ones really stand out. First, cybersecurity is a constant war zone. India's infrastructure faces over 3,000 cyber attacks a week. Then there's the digital divide. How do you make sure the elderly or people without smartphones aren't left behind? And third, data sovereignty, making sure that you, the citizen, control your data, not some corporation.
The good news, though, is that these aren't just problems on a whiteboard, they're being actively solved.
We're seeing innovations like voice-activated payment systems and even offline authentication methods being rolled out specifically to make sure this digital revolution includes absolutely everyone.
So if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this fundamental shift in thinking. The whole India model is built on the argument that core digital infrastructure should be treated like a public good, like water or electricity, not just as another way for a private company to make a profit. The government builds the rails and then lets private companies innovate and build all the trains that run on them.
And that leaves us with one last really big question to think about. As this open, public utility model for tech starts to spread around the world, it's really not a question of if it will reshape our economies and societies, but how. What does a world actually look like when our digital highways are public property, open for anyone and everyone to build upon?